Hello everybody, and welcome back to Zoo Tycoon 2. Today we're going to be doing a couple of different things. I want to start expanding our zoo in different directions, but we also still have a lot of empty space that we want to fill. So I got a comment the other day, it was either on Reddit or on an actual video, I think it may have been on Reddit, that said to attempt to create an Ecodisplay. And I kind of looked up what an Ecodisplay is, and it's kind of a wide open style type place. I was a little bit confused on what it was, so I did my best to create what I think is a Ecodisplay. Now, we just accepted a challenge, and you're going to see what exactly that does in a second. There's a reason why my game paused. If you took the time to just pause the game and read what that challenge was, we have to give up our Galapagos tortoises in order to get 3 Spanish lynxes. And you know me, I absolutely despise the Galapagos tortoises. They are the worst animal in this entire game. So I did it with, no doubt whatsoever. We now have 3 beautiful Spanish lynxes, and no more Galapagos tortoises. So life is great. You're going to see me release the Galapagos tortoises into the wild here soon, and also put in our Spanish lynxes. But I'm looking around, I'm like, what animal do we want to go in here? And these little rock hyraxes, I'm not positive how you pronounce that, but that's good enough for me. Seem like they're going to be beautiful in this little area. They're small enough that we can kind of create a display in this building that has full-on trees in it, etc., and have it look really, really nice. So how we're going to end up doing the roof in here is taking the glass elevated paths and doing that as the roof, but only over the path, not on the inside. So it's kind of going to be the people are protected from shade, but rain can still get into the exhibit, the sun's shining in the exhibit, and it's going to look really, really cool. So I'm putting in the glass here. I'll be honest, these elevated paths act a little bit funky. They don't show up and they don't place in certain times. So I had to do a couple of coats of the paths over this in order for it to really work out. But overall, it ends up looking really nice. So I didn't really worry about it a whole hell of a lot. It was a little weird to get them to place. So if you're having trouble with that, well, join the club, because I was too. So we're getting rid of the little posts here, and you can kind of see how this exhibit is going to look. I think it looks great here. So at first I wanted to put rocks on the top of the ceiling, but then since they wouldn't place on top of there, the glass ceiling just looked that much better. So here's our lynxes that we will put into our exhibit here. One of them was named unnamed, and I was like, okay, that works. But they need a whole new exhibit, so we're just going to go in and get them a nice exhibit here. I'll be honest, it's a little small for some lynxes, but honestly, I think it's going to work out because the Spanish lynxes are a little bit smaller in terms of a cat species. So it's going to be totally okay. And we end up actually getting the achievement already in this video for having the lynxes gain $500 in donations or something like that in 1 month. So they're happy. At first they were yelling about the space, but that was because they were in crates. They're now totally okay. So I'm looking at this area over here, and I'm trying to get into the marine animals in this area. So I'm looking at some animals, and then I see this Caspian seal that comes in the Arabian Nights expansion. And I'm like, he would look pretty cool over here. We're kind of transitioning from one side of the zoo into the other. It's a fun animal for when people get out of the safari jeep that they could see. So I'm putting in a fence here. We're going to end up taking out some of this fence to then put in a tank instead for these guys, but it kind of gives us a good transition into marine animals in this upcoming area, and that's kind of what I wanted to go with. So first I grabbed these coastal rocks, and I was like, let's create a little rock wall, and then I'm looking at them, and I'm like, these rocks actually kind of blow. So then I'm getting rid of all of them, and using the custom rocks that I had downloaded as our back of the wall, and these are going to look a heck of a lot nicer. I'm just throwing in some extra rocks here and there to add some extra texture. It's a little bit lazy on my part. I recognize that. We could have made it look a lot nicer by having a bunch of different rocks in there, but overall I'm pretty content with how this is going to end up looking. So we have our tank like that. We're going to bring it down all the way so that on the inside they can get in. And then we're going to just slowly raise up these sides here so that the seals aren't, one, jumping out of the water, and two, are at a good point where guests can look in but not just jump into the exhibit like some guests would do if they were in a normal zoo. I'm not going to go into details on that one, but you probably understand what I'm saying. So I'm putting in a zookeeper place as well for the zookeepers to come in, but it looks a little bit awkward in the actual like tank area, so we end up putting it in on the side in an actual fence. And right here, I'm basically just trying to see, is there a way that I can get this terrain to work where we can get this taken care of with no problem. But I'll be honest, the raising and lowering terrain tools in this game are so screwy to work with sometimes that I end up just scratching this idea entirely. If you guys have a good way to make those look okay, please comment and let me know, because frankly I honestly don't know how to use those well. So I'm just going to keep it flat. Our eagles were freaking out that they were in the wrong exhibit, and then here we had a polar bear escape as well. You'll see that later. I think that might have been off camera, but one of our polar bears escaped and was on that little elevated platform by the penguins, screaming at guests. So that was a little bit of an interesting time. The amount of times that just random animals escape from my zoo is way too damn many. And I'm glad that I have the hack that gets rid of guests being afraid of the animals if they escape, because like a lot of bad stuff could happen if that wasn't the case. So we get another challenge here. I'm looking at it. It has to do with endangered species. We just don't have enough endangered species for me to be happy here. Somehow the lynx got out of the cage again. I think it might have been that we just didn't place him in there. And then here's our Galapagos tortoises that we will release to the wild and just say goodbye to forever. I never really want to see them ever again. They're just a horrible animal to deal with. So I'm looking at our other animals and I'm like, damn, all these a bunch of people are mad, pissed off at me. So I'm kind of trying to take care of them as well. Zoos are difficult because you have two different things going on. You have the business side, the people, but then you also like still got to take care of the animals. The zookeepers in this game are pretty dumb. And they will usually end up screwing you over in some way, shape, or form by not going and dealing with some animals. So you got to make sure that you're doing both ends of the deal here. You can also see that I have a butt ton of money, and that's because I've been doing my little money hack with the aviaries that I talked about in the last episode, just trying to get us enough money to make some cool exhibits and get stuff going. So we're just doing all of our basic exterior stuff here, putting in our benches, putting in our donation machines, etc., etc. And then I'm looking around, I'm like, this would be a good place to put in some food. So I'm just doing some basic food stands here and a bathroom over there so that people aren't complaining when they come into this area that like, yo, I gotta pee, where's the bathroom? Help me out here. And instead we can just right off the bat get these in there. So we still have to put our rock hyraxes into our exhibit on the left, and we're also going to do a little bit of decorating on the inside of our little Ecodisplay home that I tried to make in here. And I hated that rock, so I just got rid of it and then put in a little bit of a smaller one and then some other tiny ones as well, just to kind of get the marine kind of situation going on. But we also have this scrub Ecodisplay in here as well, so we want to do best of both worlds. We'll have a fence go around the Ecodisplay and have some animals along the outside of that too. We just want to make sure we're using the most space as we possibly can in order to make our zoo as loaded with animals and loaded with fun as possible. So I'm just putting in some bathrooms and some more different food stands and entertainment inside of here, just because I kind of, when I go to a zoo, there's a zoo where I grew up and still live, I suppose, right now, and there are little indoor exhibits all the time, man. I want to make sure that we make this a realistic zoo and have these indoor exhibits. So we'll place in our rock hyraxes in here. They're quite cute. They look like little bunnies almost, and they're quite adorable. Little groundhogs maybe. But that's that. So that's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoyed, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. This area is going to be probably one of the next things we work on, but also maybe not. We'll see in the next episode. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.